Hey guys, tonight we are drifting. We're letting the current of time carry us back, not just a few centuries, but a few millennia. We're going to a land of black soil and red desert, a kingdom built along a serpent of a river, ruled by living gods and obsessed with eternity. We are going to ancient Egypt, but we're not visiting the pyramids by day, or touring the temples in the blazing sun. We're exploring a much darker, more intimate territory. We're going to lie down with the ancient Egyptians, as the sun sets over Thebes, and uncover how they faced their own nightmares. Imagine the air thick with the scent of lotus flowers and cooking fires, as the sky turns a bruised purple. It's a world where sleep isn't rest, it's a rehearsal for death, and every dream is a potential message from the gods, or an attack by a demon. And let's be honest, with our modern anxieties, you probably wouldn't survive a single night without calling for a priest, an exorcist, and maybe your mom. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It's a huge help and lets me know I'm on the right track. And as always, I'd love to see where you're all tuning in from. So drop your city and local time in the comments below. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The sun is dying. You watch from the doorway of your small mud brick house as it bleeds across the western horizon, painting the limestone cliffs across the river in shades of orange, pink, and deep violet. This is not just the end of a day. It is a moment of profound cosmic significance. You watch Ra, the great sun god, in his solar bark as he sails towards the gate of the drought, the underworld. His journey tonight will be fraught with peril, a 12-hour battle against the forces of chaos, culminating in a desperate fight against Apep, the serpent of darkness. His victory is not guaranteed, and as he descends into that other world, you know that you must soon follow. You thank him with all the sincerity of your soul. You leave a small offering of a few loaves of bread at the door of the House of Life as payment for his time and wisdom. As you walk back out into the bright, noisy streets of Thebes, the world seems different. The fear has not vanished, but it has been put in its place. It is a known quantity. You have your instructions. You have your magic. You are no longer just a victim of a nightmare. You are a soldier, armed with the knowledge of your enemy, ready to repair his walls and prepare for the next battle. You are a scribe, a man of modest but respected standing, living in the bustling city of Thebes during the height of the New Kingdom. Your day was filled with practicalities, recording grain inventories on papyrus, writing a letter for a less literate merchant, teaching your son the complex art of hieroglyphs. But as the light fades, the world of the practical recedes, and the world of the unseen presses in. The air, which during the day was a furnace of dry heat, now grows cooler, carrying on it the eternal smells of your world, the rich, dark scent of the Nile's silt, the sharp aroma of charcoal fires, the fragrance of jasmine from a neighbor's small garden, and the ever-present, dusty smell of sun-baked earth. You walk away from the House of Life with the priest's instructions clutched in your hand, a small scroll of papyrus that feels like the most important document you have ever held. It is your weapon, your shield, and your medicine all in one. The bustling energy of Thebes, which felt so alien and jarring just an hour ago, now feels like a confirmation of your purpose. This vibrant, chaotic world of the living is what you are fighting for. Your wife is lighting the oil lamps inside, their small flames pushing back against the encroaching shadows. Your children, their energy finally spent after a day of chasing goats and each other, are being prepared for bed. For them, sleep is a simple thing. For you, it is not. You are an educated man. You have read the sacred texts. You know that sleep is a temporary death. It is the frontier between the land of the living and the land of the dead. And to cross it is to undertake a perilous journey of your own. You do not go straight home. Your first task is to gather the materials for the ritual. You head towards the riverbank, to a place where the clay is known to be fine and pale. The Nile is the lifeblood of your land, a god in its own right, and the earth on its banks is imbued with its sacred power. You find a secluded spot, murmur a prayer of thanks to Hapi, the god of the inundation, and gather a lump of the cool, gray clay. You step back inside. Your home is simple. The floors are packed earth, cool beneath your bare feet. The walls are plastered with mud and painted a simple white. Furniture is sparse. A few wooden chests hold your family's linens and belongings. A low table is where you share your meals of bread, onions, and beer. Your bed is a simple wooden frame with woven reeds stretched across it, topped with a linen mattress stuffed with straw. And at its head, there is no soft, fluffy pillow. There is a headrest, carved from a single piece of sycamore wood, its crescent-shaped top designed to cradle the back of your head. This is a common historical fact. We all know the Egyptian headrest. It seems impossibly uncomfortable to us, but to you, it is essential. It elevates your head, not just for coolness, but to protect the most vulnerable part of your body, the seat of your consciousness, from the unseen things that might crawl or slither in the night. It is your first line of defense. Next, you go to the market, not the grand, noisy market for food and goods, but the smaller stalls near the temple precinct where specialized items are sold. Here, you purchase a small bag of natron. It's a naturally occurring salt, a mixture of sodium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate, harvested from the dry lake beds west of the Nile Delta. It is the salt of the gods. It is the substance used to desiccate the bodies of the dead, to preserve them for eternity in mummification. But it is also the ultimate agent of purification for the living. It cleanses everything it touches, both physically and spiritually. To have a small bag of it in your possession feels like holding concentrated purity. As you prepare for sleep, you're not simply getting ready for a period of unconsciousness. You are preparing your soul for travel. You understand that you are made of many parts. There is your cot, your physical body, which will remain here on this bed. There is your ka, your life force, your spiritual double, which also remains with the body, a sort of divine battery pack keeping the flesh alive. But then there is your ba. Your final stop before returning home is a small, open-air shrine on a quiet side street. It is not a grand temple. It is little more than a niche in a wall, holding two weathered stone figures. One is the grotesque, powerful form of Taweret, her pregnant belly worn smooth by generations of hopeful hands. The other is Bez, his leering face almost comical, brandishing a crudely carved knife. This is where you will make your offering of thanks. You place the loaf of fine bread, the jar of beer, and the bunch of onions you brought from home on the small stone altar before them. It is a humble offering, but it is given with a sincere heart. You unroll the papyrus scroll from Pentu and, in a low, clear voice, you recite the prayer he wrote for you. The ancient words feel powerful in your mouth, a sequence of sounds designed to resonate not just in the air, but in the spiritual realm. It is a prayer of gratitude, acknowledging the protection you received, and a plea for their continued vigilance. You are formally thanking your divine bodyguards for their service. The BA is often translated as soul, but it's more specific than that. It is the aspect of your personality, your individuality, that has the power to leave the body. It is often depicted as a bird with a human head, and for a very good reason. Every night, when you fall asleep, your bay is meant to fly from your body and travel through the mystical landscape of the drought, the same underworld that Ra is currently navigating. This nightly journey is a rehearsal for the final journey you will take after death. It is a necessary, sacred process, but it is also filled with danger. As you finish the prayer, you feel a subtle shift in the atmosphere. A sense of peace settles over you. The cold knot of fear in your stomach, which has been there since you woke, finally begins to dissolve. The ritual is working. The distinction between the Ka and the Ba is a subtle one, and historians still debate how precisely the average Egyptian understood these concepts. Was the Ka something you fed with offerings? Was the Ba what you hoped would reunite with your Ka and your mummified Ka to become an Ak, a transfigured spirit, in the afterlife? For the theologians in the great temples, these were matters of intricate doctrine. For you, a scribe lying on his bed, the understanding is much more practical. A part of you is about to go on a trip, and you really hope it makes it back by morning. You return home to find your wife has completed her own work. The house is immaculate. The floors have been swept, and the faint, holy scent of myrrh hangs in the air. She has prepared the water infused with natron. It is time for the next stage of the ritual. You lie down on your bed, the wooden headrest cool and solid against your neck. Your wife lies on a similar bed beside you. The children are asleep in the next room. The sounds of the city are fading. The boisterous noise of the marketplace has been replaced by the distant barking of a dog, the soft cooing of pigeons roosting on the roof. The house is dark, save for the single flickering flame of a small lamp left burning in a corner. You never sleep in total darkness. Darkness is the realm of Apep, the great serpent of chaos. A little light is a small prayer to Ra, a beacon to help him. And you find your way back. You take the clay you gathered and mix it with the sacred water, creating a thick, white paste. Then, with your finger, you begin to paint. You are not an artist, but these are not meant to be works of art. They are symbols of power. On the wooden frame of your front door, you draw the Ujjat, the Eye of Horus. It is the ultimate symbol of protection, healing, and restoration. It represents the eye that the god Horus lost in his battle with his uncle Set, and which was magically restored by Thoth. It is an emblem of victory over chaos, of light over darkness. You close your eyes. This is the moment of transition. You feel the weight of your body on the reed mat. You feel the slow, steady rhythm of your own breathing. You are letting go. You are releasing your bay. You are consciously stepping across the threshold. You paint them on either side of the door. Two vigilant, unblinking eyes that will now watch over your threshold. You do the same for the small window openings. You are magically sealing your home, reinforcing its spiritual walls against any further intrusion. As the white clay dries, the symbols stand out, stark and powerful against the dark wood. Your house is no longer just a dwelling. It is a fortified temple. The world of your bedroom dissolves. The familiar weight of your limbs, the scent of the oil lamp, the solid presence of your wife beside you, it all fades away, replaced by a swirling, disorienting grayness. You are adrift. You are in the borderlands. You feel a sense of satisfaction, of safety. You have followed the priest's instructions. You have performed the rituals. But as the afternoon wears on, you begin to feel unwell. This is where the journey begins. Your bait, now free, flutters in this liminal space. It is drawn towards the Duat, following the path of the sun god. You are not in control here, not in the way you control your hand to write or your legs to walk. You are a passenger. It starts as a dull headache, a throbbing pain behind your eyes. You dismiss it at first as a symptom of your sleepless, stressful night. But it doesn't go away. It gets worse. A wave of nausea rolls through you. Your limbs feel heavy. Your joints ache. A feverish heat begins to bloom under your skin, followed by a sudden chill that makes you shiver despite the warmth of the day. The landscape that forms around you is not the Thebes you know. It is a dream version of it, a world of shifting symbols and potent archetypes. You might see a river, but it is not the Nile. Its water is dark and moves with a purpose you cannot comprehend. The reeds on its banks are impossibly tall and strange. Hybrid creatures watch you from the shadows. You see a field of golden barley, but you know it is not a real field. It is the field of reeds, the Aru, the Egyptian version of heaven. A paradise where the blessed dead live in eternal, sun-drenched peace. But you know you are not meant to be here yet. You are just a tourist, and you don't have the right credentials. Your wife looks at you with growing alarm. Neb Hathor, she says, her voice tight with worry. The shadow has not left you. As your ba flutters deeper into this other world, the initial sense of wonder begins to curdle into anxiety. The Duat is not a friendly place. It is a landscape of judgment and trial. It is divided into 12 hours, or 12 regions, each with its own gate, its own guardian, and its own population of gods, demons, and the restless dead. Ra must pass through all 12 gates to be reborn at dawn. Your journey is a smaller, more personal echo of his. You know she is right. This is the terrible secret of the Egyptian nightmare. It is not just a psychological event. It has real physical consequences. The soul eater that attacked your ba in the Duat may have failed to consume you, but its venomous touch has made you sick. The nightmare was the cause, the fever is the symptom. The spiritual wound is now manifesting as a physical illness. You feel a presence nearby. It is not a god. It is not another sleeping soul. It is something else, something hungry. The air grows cold. The dream landscape, which was unsettling but navigable, now begins to warp. The path ahead seems to twist back on itself. A fog rolls in, thick and smelling of decay. This is the very foundation of your people's understanding of medicine. For you, there is no clear dividing line between magic and medicine, between the priest and the doctor. They are two sides of the same coin. An illness is almost always seen as a supernatural event. Perhaps a demon has entered your body. Perhaps a god is punishing you for a transgression. Perhaps a malicious sorcerer has used a figurine to place a curse on you. The physical symptoms, the fever, the pain, the nausea are merely the outward signs of an inner spiritual battle. This is the moment all Egyptians dread. Your nightly journey has taken a wrong turn. You have strayed from the safe path. You have attracted the attention of one of the denizens of the dark. You are about to have a nightmare. Therefore, the treatment must also be twofold. It must address the physical symptoms, but more importantly, it must address the supernatural cause. This is why the great medical texts, like the Ebers Papyrus and the Edwin Smith Papyrus, are filled with both practical remedies and magical incantations. To treat a headache, a physician might prescribe a compress of herbs to be applied to the head, but he would also recite a powerful spell to banish the specific demon believed to cause head pain. For you, a nightmare is not a random firing of synapses in your brain, a product of eating too much rich food before bed. That's our modern clinical explanation. For you, a nightmare is a genuine external event. It is an attack, a demon, a malevolent spirit, or the ghost of a restless, unavenged dead person, an entity the Egyptians called a mutt has found you are wandering by. Its goal is simple: to harm you, to feed on your life force, to prevent your ba from returning to your body, leaving you to sicken and die. Your wife acts quickly. She is not a priest, but she is a mother and a wife, and she knows the household remedies. She makes you lie down on your bed. She soaks a linen cloth in cool water and places it on your forehead. She brews a tisane of willow bark, a folk remedy known to help with fevers and pain. It is the ancient world's aspirin, a piece of practical pharmacology passed down through generations. The form of the attacker begins to coalesce out of the fog. It might be a serpent with human legs. It might be a crocodile with the head of a lion. It might be a shadowy, indistinct figure that whispers your name in a voice that chills you to the bone. These are not random monsters. They are specific entities, cataloged by priests, their names and characteristics recorded in sacred texts. You are not having a bad dream. You are being assaulted by a known supernatural criminal. But she knows this is not enough. The root of the problem is magical. The Soul Eater's touch has created an imbalance in your body, an opening for chaos to enter. The creature lunges, your ba flutters desperately, trying to escape, but you are trapped. The demon is trying to ensnare you, to drag you deeper into the duat, away from the path of Ra, away from the path back to your own sleeping body. The fear is overwhelming. It is not the fear of a scary movie. It is the primal, existential terror of a soul in peril. You feel a draining sensation, a psychic vampirism, as the creature begins to feed on your energy. "I will fetch the lector priest," she says, her face set with determination. But you know that Pentu is a great and busy man. You cannot simply summon him to your home for a common fever. The initial consultation was one thing, a house call is another. You struggle, Lexi, but it's like struggling in water. Your will is weakening. The memory of your physical body, of your wife, of the warm mud brick house in Thebes is fading. This dark, terrifying place is becoming your only reality. No, you say, your voice weak. The remedies of the House of Life are not for such as me. We must use what we have. This is the ancient Egyptian nightmare. It is not a figment of your imagination. It is a battle for your very soul, fought on a spiritual plane every single night. The sun is gone, the world is dark, and you are alone, unarmed, facing a monster that wants to erase you from existence. Your only hope is that the protections you put in place before you fell asleep, the prayers you muttered, the amulet tucked under your headrest, the small, flickering flame of the oil lamp are strong enough to act as a lifeline, a thin thread of light to guide your terrified bae back home. But as the demon's grip tightens, that hope begins to feel very, very small indeed. The frontier has been crossed. The journey has begun. And now, the fight for your life is on. You know that there are specific spells for your condition. The medical papyri contain incantations against the demons of sickness. There is a spell for driving out the pains in the head, which involves chanting over the patient while holding a ceramic crocodile. There is another spell against intestinal parasites that requires the patient to drink a foul-tasting concoction while a priest recites a story about the god Horus being cured of a similar ailment by his mother. Isis. This is a common magical technique to invoke a mythological precedent, to align the patient's suffering with the suffering of a god, and thus to bring the god's healing power to bear on the mortal's problem. It's like saying, if this cure was good enough for the god Horus, it's good enough for you. The demon's grip is not physical. It is a cold that seeps into the very essence of your being. A spiritual frostbite. Your Ba, that fragile, human-headed bird that is the core of you, flutters frantically in its grasp, but its wings beat against an intangible, inescapable net of pure malevolence. The fog it coalesced from is all around you, smelling of stagnant water and old decay, and in it you can feel the creature's hunger, a psychic greed that wants to consume your warmth, your memories, your life. But you do not have a ceramic crocodile. You do not have a priest to recite the myths. You have only your own knowledge and the tools within your home. This is the reality of the drought, the Egyptian underworld. It is not some distant hell or a far-off heaven. It is a parallel dimension, a spiritual landscape that mirrors the physical world, but operates under a completely different and far more dangerous set of laws. It is the journey that Ra, the sun god, must make every single night. And it is the journey your soul emulates in sleep. This is the common, well-documented understanding from funerary texts like the Amduat, that which is in the underworld, and the Book of Gates. The Duat is divided into 12 sections, representing the 12 hours of the night. Each hour is a distinct region with its own challenges, its own population of bizarre and terrifying creatures, and each is separated by a massive gate, guarded by a fearsome deity. To pass through, Ra, and by extension, you must know the Guardian's name and the correct secret password. It's the universe's most high-stakes security system, and if you forget the password, the consequences are a little more severe than just getting locked out of your email. You remember something you copied once, as a young apprentice in the House of Life. It was a simple spell, a household exorcism. It was a spell against the night terror that grips a man in his bed. It was designed to be spoken by a family member. Right now, you are nowhere near one of those gates. You have wandered off the main road. You have taken a wrong turn in the spiritual wilderness. And you have run into one of the locals, and the locals are not friendly. The demon that holds you is one of the countless minions of Apep, the great serpent of Chaos, whose entire existence is dedicated to stopping Ra's journey and plunging the universe into eternal darkness. Your personal nightmare is a tiny skirmish in a vast cosmic war that is fought every single night. You ask your wife to bring you the magic wand, the curved hippopotamus tusk. She retrieves it from the chest where it is kept wrapped in clean linen. She holds it in her hand, its polished surface cool and smooth. The creature's form keeps shifting, as things in this place often do. One moment it is a serpent with the legs of a man. The next it is a formless shadow with burning red eyes. It whispers to your Ba, not in words, but in pure concepts, flooding your soul with feelings of despair, loneliness, and futility. It shows you images of your own body, lying cold and still on its bed, your Ka fading, your wife weeping. It tells you that you are forgotten, that no one is coming for you, that you will be trapped here in the darkness forever, a forgotten morsel for a hungry ghost. The words, you whisper, your head throbbing. The words of banishment. You struggle, but how do you fight a nightmare? You have no sword here, no shield. Your only weapons are your will, your knowledge, and your connection to the world of the living. You try to focus your Ba to remember who you are. I am Neb Hathor, the scribe. You try to assert, but the thought feels weak, thin. Your name, your Ren, is a source of power, but the demon's influence is like static, scrambling the signal. You recite the spell for her, your voice raspy. It is a powerful, rhythmic chant. It is a direct address to the demon, a formal and legalistic command for it to depart. You try to remember the world of light. You picture your wife's face, the way she smiles. You picture your son, his small hand gripping a reed pen. his brow furrowed in concentration as he tries to draw a perfect quail chick hieroglyph. You picture the sun on the Nile, the feel of warm sand under your feet. These memories are your anchor. They are a rope leading back to your physical body. Your cat? The demon feels you doing this, and its grip tightens. It tries to sever that rope to replace your warm memories with its own cold poison. Get back, you enemy. You dead one, male or female. Your wife begins, her voice surprisingly strong and steady as she repeats your words. She stands over your bed, holding the magic wand, pointing it at the unseen forces in the room. This is the nightly trial. It is a test of your spirit. The drought is not just a path, it is a crucible. It is meant to purify the soul, to burn away its impurities so that it can be worthy of joining the gods in the field of reeds. Even the blessed dead must face these trials. Their tombs are filled with guidebooks, papyrus scrolls of the Book of the Dead, which is more accurately translated as the Book of Coming Forth by Day. It is a collection of spells, hymns, and passwords, a complete cheat sheet for the final exam of the soul. It contains spells for not losing your head, for not having to eat filth, for remembering your own name, and for transforming into a powerful creature to bypass danger. It's the ancient world's equivalent of a 4 Dummies guide to the afterlife. Do not seize hold of Nebhathor, son of Marisker. She commands using your name and your mother's name to clearly identify you, leaving no room for demonic confusion. But you are not dead. You are only sleeping. You don't have your scroll with you. You only have what you have memorized, what you have learned in your life as a scribe. You desperately search your memory for a protective spell, a divine name, anything that can act as a weapon. I have made your protection using the head of a fish. I have repelled you with the backbone of a perch. I have bewitched you with the jaw of a merit fish. The landscape of the drought around you continues to warp under the demon's influence. You see a lake of fire, its surface bubbling with a black, viscous liquid. In the funerary texts, this lake is a place of ultimate destruction for the wicked, where their souls are unmade. But it is also described as a place of purification that the righteous, and even Ra himself, must pass by. The demon tries to drag your ba towards it, whispering that this is where you belong, that you are impure, that you are unworthy. The spell is a litany of magical ingredients and powerful symbols. This is a point that modern scholars find fascinating. Why a fish head? Why the jaw of a perch? The logic is often obscure to us, likely rooted in mythological associations or puns that are now lost. But for you, these are words of power. Each one is a weapon. This leads to a question that historians still debate. Did the ancient Egyptians believe that the soul could be permanently destroyed in a nightmare? We know they believed a nightmare could cause sickness, and even death by preventing the BA from returning to the body. But could a powerful enough demon actually annihilate a soul in the dream realm? The texts are ambiguous. The fear of final annihilation, of ceasing to exist entirely, was the ultimate horror for an Egyptian. The thought that this could happen not just after the final judgment, but on any given Tuesday night because you had a bad dream, is a truly terrifying prospect. Your wife circles the bed, pointing the wand at the 4 corners of the room, ensuring the entire space is covered by the spell's power. Her voice rises in strength and confidence as she continues the incantation, a string of threats and insults aimed at the unseen enemy. She is no longer just your wife. She is a priestess, a warrior fighting for your life with the weapons of magic. As the demon drags you closer to the fiery lake, a different memory sparks in your mind. It is not a grand spell from the Book of the Dead. It is something much more humble, more personal. It is the image of an amulet your wife tucked under your headrest just before you went to sleep. It is a small faience charm, a cheap thing from the market. It is in the shape of a grotesque, bandy-legged dwarf with a lion's mane and a feathered headdress, sticking out his tongue. It is an image of the god Bes. As she speaks the final words of the spell, a great shudder runs through your body. A wave of heat washes over you, so intense that you cry out. And then, as quickly as it came, it is gone. Bes, he is not one of the great, majestic state gods like Ra or Osiris. He is a household god, a domestic protector. He is a god of childbirth, of music, of dance, and, most importantly, of protecting the family from snakes, scorpions, and evil spirits. He is a divine bouncer, a celestial security guard for the common man. His fearsome, ugly appearance is not meant to scare you. It's meant to scare away the very thing that is holding you now. He is a demon who fights demons. You lie panting on the bed, drenched in sweat. The throbbing in your head has subsided to a dull ache. The nausea is gone. The fever has broken. "Do this before the sun sets," he commands, "and your fortress will be strong again." Your wife slumps onto the stool beside the bed, her energy spent. She has done it. She has driven the sickness, the lingering presence of the demon, from your body. You focus all your will on that image. You call out the god's name in the silence of your soul. Bess, you look at her. Your heart filled with a love and gratitude so profound it leaves you breathless. You face the demon alone in the duat. But here, in the world of the living, you did not have to fight alone. Your victory was a shared one. The effect is instantaneous. A warmth spreads through your ba, pushing back against the demon's chilling grip. The grotesque, friendly face of the dwarf god seems to superimpose itself over the nightmarish landscape. The demon shrieks, a sound of pure hatred and pain, as if it has been touched by a hot iron. The power of a humble household god, invoked by the memory of a loving wife, is a weapon it cannot withstand. The line between a priest who heals with a sacred text and a wife who heals with a household spell is a blurry one, a topic of debate even for your own culture. But as you lie there, feeling the life and warmth slowly returning to your limbs, you know the truth. The most powerful magic is not always found in the grand temples or the ancient scrolls. Sometimes it is found in the hands of the person who loves you, in a simple room, in the quiet light of an afternoon sun. You have faced your nightmare, and you have faced the sickness it brought, and you have won. Not just because of the gods, but because of the strength and wisdom of the woman by your side. Its grip on your soul loosens, the net of despair tears apart. Your ba is free. The fever is gone. But it has left you scoured and weak, like a riverbed after a flash flood. You lie on your pallet, the sweat-soaked linen clinging to your skin, and watch as your wife moves quietly about the room, her presence a comforting anchor in the aftermath of the storm. The magic she performed, the simple household exorcism, was a desperate, powerful act of love. It drove the sickness from your body, but you both know it was like chasing a lion from your doorway with a broom. You may have scared it off for now, but the lion is still out there, and it knows where you live. You don't wait. You beat your soul wings and fly. Away from the shrieking demon, away from the lake of fire. The fog dissipates. The oppressive, evil presence is gone. But you are still lost. The soul eater that attacked you was a powerful entity. The initial rituals of purification you performed, the painting of the Eye of Horus on your door, were a good first defense. Your wife's incantation was a successful counterattack. But this enemy requires more than just defense. It requires a formal, binding act of banishment. You need to do more than just lock your door. You need to serve the monster with a supernatural restraining order. One backed by the full power of the gods and the authority of the House of Life. You need to make your home so magically hostile to it that it will never dare to return. This is not a job for household magic. This requires a specialist. The landscape of the duat is still all around you, but it is no longer actively hostile, thus it is simply alien. You fly over jagged, black mountains that seem to be made of obsidian. You see a river of sand, flowing with a dry, rustling sound. In the distance, strange figures walk with the heads of ibises and crocodiles, the souls of the blessed dead going about their otherworldly business. You see one of the great gates, a massive pylon guarded by a fire-breathing serpent. You know you cannot pass that way. That is for Ra and the officially deceased. You are an undocumented traveler here. It takes you a full day to regain your strength. You eat simple, nourishing food, lentil soup, dates, fresh bread. You drink copious amounts of water. You do not leave the house. You are in a state of ritual convalescence, allowing your ka and ba to fully reintegrate and heal within the safety of your fortified home. But as the sun begins to dip towards the western cliffs on the second day, a familiar anxiety begins to creep back in. Night is coming, and you are not willing to face it without stronger armor. You must find your way back. But which way is it? There is no sun, no stars to guide you. There is only the dim, ambient light of the underworld. You are a tiny, fluttering soul in a vast, terrifying cosmos. The fear is still there, but it is different now. It is not the paralyzing terror of the attack. It is the anxious fear of being lost, of being late. Your body is back in Thebes, waiting for you. If your ba does not return by sunrise, your cat will sicken. The connection must be maintained. I must go back to the house of life. You tell your wife. Her face is grim, but she nods in understanding. This is no longer just about a bad dream. This is about protecting the sanctity of your family and your home. You fly onward, driven by the homing instinct of the soul. You pass over silent, shadowy cities where the dead dwell. You see boats being pulled across sandy canals by silent figures. You are getting a guided tour of the afterlife that you really didn't sign up for. It's like accidentally wandering onto a movie set. And the movie is a very serious, very long epic about death. This time, when you approach Pentu, the old lector priest, your request is different. You are not a patient seeking a diagnosis. You are a client commissioning a service. And then you see it. Far in the distance, a moving point of brilliant, golden light. It is a boat. A majestic bark, sailing not on water, but through the very fabric of the underworld. On its deck stands a tall figure with the head of a falcon, crowned with a blazing sun disk. It is Ra. He is surrounded by a retinue of other gods, his divine crew, who are helping him fight off the slithering, shadowy forms of Apep's minions that leap at the boat from the darkness. You find him again in his quiet courtyard, studying a celestial map drawn on a roll of papyrus. He looks up at you, and his sharp eyes miss nothing. He sees the lingering weakness in your posture, but also the new resolve in your gaze. That is your path. That is your lifeline. The great cosmic highway that runs through the heart of the Duat. You have found your way back to the main road. The fever has passed. He states it is not a question. Your ba turns and flies towards the light with all its might. You are not trying to board the boat. You are a mortal soul. You cannot join the company of the gods. But you can follow in its wake. The light from Ra's bark illuminates the path, pushing back the darkest shadows, keeping the worst of the Duat's predators at bay. It has Venerable One. You say, thanks to the gods, and to the words you have preserved. But the fear remains. The fiend was strong. I do not believe it will be so easily discouraged. I ask for the great banishment. The immediate danger is past. You have survived the demonic attack. You have fought your first battle of the night and won, not with strength, but with memory and faith in a funny-looking little god. But the journey is not over. The sunboat is still hours away from the eastern gate. You must still navigate the rest of the Duat, with all its strange landscapes and hidden perils. You are tired. Your soul feels bruised and weary. But you can see the way forward. And so, you fly on, a tiny human-headed bird following a boat of light through a world of darkness, praying that you have the strength to make it to the dawn. Pentu looks at you for a long moment, his expression unreadable. The Great Banishment is not a simple prayer or a minor ritual. It is a serious and costly magical operation. It involves the direct intervention of a trained priest, the use of rare materials, and the speaking of words of power that are not lightly invoked. It is reserved for serious hauntings and persistent demonic attacks. Following in the wake of Rai's sunboat is like sailing behind a massive icebreaker in a frozen sea. The light and power of the god carves a safe channel through the darkness. But on either side of this path, the raw, chaotic wilderness of the Duat churns and presses in. The immediate personal threat has passed, but you are now a privileged spectator to the full scope of the dangers that lurk in the Egyptian night. This journey is no longer just a terrifying chase. It has become an education. You are getting a guided tour of the very things that populate your people's worst nightmares. To perform the Great Banishment is to declare war. Pentu says, his voice low. You are sure this is necessary? As you fly, your basoul a tiny, frightened moth drawn to Rai's divine flame. You begin to notice the details of the landscape beyond the path of light. This is not an empty darkness. It is a populated darkness. And as you pass from one hour of the night to the next, crossing invisible borders in this spiritual realm, the nature of the inhabitants changes. You realize that the demon that attacked you earlier wasn't a lone predator. It was a member of a vast and terrifyingly well-organized ecosystem of horror. What you are witnessing is a living field guide to the night terrors of your people. It tried to unmake my soul, you reply simply. War has already been declared. In the 5th hour of the night, for instance, you pass the cavern of the god Sokar, a primeval falcon god of the underworld. The region is a desert of pure sand, and the cavern itself is guarded by sphinxes and massive, double-headed serpents. But it's the inhabitants of this desert that make your soul feathers stand on end. Here dwell the legions of the damned, those who failed the final judgment. But they are not alone. They are tormented by a host of demons whose sole purpose is to inflict punishment. You see figures with the heads of jackals and the bodies of men, wielding long, cruel knives. You see creatures made of pure shadow, their forms shifting and uncertain. These are the agents of divine justice. But knowing that doesn't make them any less terrifying. Pentu gives a slow, deliberate nod. So be it. This is a core belief you hold. The monsters are real, they have names, and they are hungry. They are not figments of your imagination. They are a class of beings, as real as crocodiles or scorpions. You have names for them. There are the Shamau, the wandering demons. There are the Sami, the fiends. And there are the Mutu, the restless and malevolent dead. Each has its own habits, its own preferred methods of torment, and its own weaknesses. He tells you what is required. The ritual must be performed in your home, at dusk, the very hour of transition when the veil between worlds is at its thinnest. He will come himself. But you must prepare. You must acquire the necessary components for the ritual. As Ra's boat sails onward, the light illuminates a particularly gruesome scene. A group of shadowy demons are holding down a struggling spirit, while a larger creature with the head of a crocodile prepares to devour it. You recognize the creature instantly from temple reliefs and funerary papyri. It is Ammit, the devourer of the dead. Her body is a grotesque mashup of the 3 largest man-eating animals the Egyptians knew, the head of a crocodile, the forequarters of a lion, and the hindquarters of a hippopotamus. She is the ultimate predator, the divine enforcer who consumes the hearts of those whose sins make them weigh more than the feather of Mayat, the goddess of truth, during the final judgment. Seeing her here, even at a distance, is a chilling reminder of the ultimate consequence of a wicked life. Her very existence is a cornerstone of your moral universe. For a modern person, she's a cool-looking monster from a museum. For you, she is the physical embodiment of eternal damnation. The list he gives you is far more complex than before. He requires a clay figurine, not a protective one of an honored god, but an execration figurine. You are to model a crude, ugly figure of a bound captive. This figure will represent the Soul Eater. You will also need a small, sharp flint knife, a new one that has never been used for any other purpose. You will need a bowl of pure sand, taken from the deep desert, far from the life-giving influence of the Nile. And you will need 7 red onions. But not all the creatures of the Duat are such high-ranking officials in the cosmic bureaucracy of death. Many are freelancers, chaotic agents of Apep who exist only to cause pain and disrupt order. As you pass into the 7th hour, you see them. This region is the domain of Osiris, and it is guarded by his fiercest servants. But Apep's minions are everywhere. You see serpents with wings, lions with the heads of rams, and creatures that defy description, all of them hurling themselves at Ra's boat, only to be repelled by the spears and spells of the gods on board. Each item is symbolic, charged with magical meaning. The figurine is a vessel for the demon's essence, a physical object to be ritually destroyed. The flint knife is a weapon of the ancient gods, a tool of sacrifice. The desert sand represents the sterility and lifelessness of his fate, the principle of chaos. And the red onions, with their pungent smell and layered structure, are known to be powerful agents in execration rituals. Their scent believed to be offensive and repellent to evil spirits. You see one demon, a slithering thing with multiple human heads, and you feel a jolt of recognition. It has the same aura of cold despair as the creature that attacked your bee earlier. You realize you weren't attacked by a random monster. You were attacked by a specific type of entity, a decapitator or a soul eater, whose function is described in the priestly texts. It's a strange comfort, like getting a diagnosis for a terrible illness. The terror is still there, but now it has a name. It can be understood. And anything that can be understood can, hopefully, be fought. You spend the rest of the afternoon gathering these items. You mold the clay figure with your own hands, making it as hideous as you can. pouring all your fear and anger into the act. You purchase the flint knife and the desert sand from the same temple stalls as before. The 7 onions you get from your own small storage bin. This is the purpose of the incredibly detailed demonology of your people. The funerary texts are filled with vignettes of these creatures. Their names alone are a catalog of terrors, he who dances in blood. The backward-facing one, stinking face, eater of his own excrement. It sounds like the lineup for the universe's worst heavy metal festival, but for the priests, this was science. To know a demon's name was to have power over it. To know its form was to be able to create the correct protective amulet. It was an attempt to impose order, ma'at, on the chaos of fear itself. As dusk approaches, Pentu arrives at your door. He is not dressed in his simple scribe's kilt. He wears the formal robes of a lector priest, a clean white linen garment, and, draped over his shoulder, the leopard skin that signifies his rank and power. The leopard was a great predator, and by wearing its skin, the priest takes on its predatory authority over the spirits. He carries a wooden chest containing his own ritual tools. One of the strangest and most obscure details you know is that these demonic attacks are not always about spiritual annihilation. Sometimes, they are believed to be the cause of very specific physical ailments. You fly past a group of hunched, miserable-looking demons who seem to be brewing something in a foul-looking cauldron. These are the bringers of disease. According to the medical papyri, many sicknesses, from headaches to stomach pains to fevers, were not caused by natural means, but by a demon who had successfully attacked a person in their sleep and injected a sort of spiritual venom, or had even managed to enter their physical body. The Eber's Papyrus, one of your civilization's great medical documents, is filled with spells and incantations to be recited over the sick, which are essentially exorcisms designed to drive out the specific demon responsible for the ailment. It's a holistic view of medicine that we've lost. For you, a nightmare isn't just a bad dream. It's a symptom. The first sign that you might be coming down with a divinely induced case of the flu. Your wife and children are sent to a neighbor's house. This ritual is not for them to witness. It is a dangerous confrontation, and only you and the priest should be present. This raises a question that your own priests and theologians sometimes ponder, and one that historians still debate today: are all these demons truly evil? Are they all minions of chaos, like Apep? Or are some of them agents of divine will, dispatched by the gods to punish mortals for their transgressions? Some texts seem to suggest that gods like Sekhmet, the fierce lion-headed goddess of war and plague, could send out demons, the messengers of Sekhmet, to spread disease among those who had angered her. So is the demon in your nightmare a force of pure evil? Or is it a supernatural debt collector, sent by a god because you forgot to leave out an offering? This ambiguity makes the nightmares even more terrifying. You don't just have to worry about monsters, you have to worry that you might have actually deserved the monster you got. Pentu enters your main room. The atmosphere immediately changes. His presence, calm and authoritative, fills the space. He opens his chest and removes his tools, a papyrus scroll containing the powerful incantation, a censer for burning incense, and a small alabaster jar of sacred oil. As you follow Ra's boat, you also become aware of the other souls traveling here. You are not the only sleeper whose ba is on a nightly pilgrimage. You see other human-headed birds, some flying with confidence, others fluttering with fear. And you see the Mutu, the dead. These are the ghosts of those who were not properly buried, or who died with a grievance. They are trapped in the duat, unable to pass into the field of reeds. They are miserable, lonely, and often malevolent. They see the light and life force of a sleeping ba and are drawn to it like wraiths to a fire, wanting to share their misery, or to steal your warmth for themselves. An encounter with a mutt is a particularly dreaded nightmare because it is so personal. The monster is not some cosmic horror. It is the ghost of your neighbor whose tomb was robbed, and he is not happy about it. He directs you to place a small table in the center of the room. On it, you place the bowl of desert sand. You place the clay figurine of the bound captive in the center of the sand. You lay the 7 onions and the flint knife beside it. The hours of the night wear on. Each region of the duat brings new horrors, new wonders. You see gods with the heads of beetles, baboons, and crocodiles. You see rivers of fire and fields of razor-sharp reeds. The sheer imaginative complexity of the underworld is overwhelming. Your ba feels small and insignificant in this grand, terrifying cosmos. The ritual begins. Pentu lights the incense in the censer. A thick, white smoke, smelling of frankincense and storax, fills the room. It is a smell of purification, of sacred space. He begins to chant, his voice low and resonant. He is not praying to the gods. He is invoking them, calling on them to be present as witnesses and enforcers of this magical legal proceeding. You hold on to the memory of the god Bez, the funny-looking dwarf who saved you. He is a reminder that not all power is grand and majestic. Sometimes, the greatest protection comes from the most humble sources. You remember the amulet under your headrest, a small piece of faience, a tiny anchor of faith in a vast ocean of fear. It worked. It tethered you to the world of the living and gave you the strength to fight back. This is a secret that modern historians still debate. Were these banishment rituals purely magical acts, or were they understood as a form of legal trial? Was the priest acting as a magician, or as a lawyer for the plaintiff, you prosecuting a case against the demon in a divine court? The language of the spells, with its formal commands and legalistic tone, suggests the latter. You are not just trying to scare the demon away. You are serving it with a legally binding injunction, backed by the authority of the cosmos. The light of Ra's boat seems to grow a little stronger. The journey is far from over, but you have passed the deepest point of the night. You are now on the upward path, heading towards the dawn. You have survived your journey through the field guide of terrors. You have looked upon the face of a myth. You have fled from soul eaters, and you have witnessed the cosmic battle between order and chaos. You are weary, your soul is frayed, but you are still flying. And for now, that is all that matters. Pentu's chant grows louder. He unrolls his papyrus scroll. Now comes the core of the ritual, the direct address to the demon. And it is not a plea. It is a string of carefully crafted, ritualized insults designed to diminish, belittle, and magically cripple the entity. You fly onward, your soul wings beating a steady rhythm in the strange, non-air of the duat. The terror of the initial attack has subsided, replaced by a weary but profound sense of awe. You have seen the monsters that haunt your people's sleep, the slithering, multi-headed minions of chaos. You have witnessed the grand, cosmic struggle of the sun, God himself. But most importantly, you survived. And you did not survive through your own strength. You survived because you remembered a funny-looking dwarf god with a lion's mane. You survived because of Bess. Oh, you who come in the darkness, you soul eater, you fiend of the shadows, Pentu intones, his voice ringing with power. I know your name, though you hide it, I know your nature, though you disguise it. This realization settles deep within your butt. In this terrifying, chaotic underworld, you are not entirely alone. You have protectors. This is the great secret that allows your people to lie down and sleep. Each night, the universe is filled with monsters, but it is also filled with bodyguards. And your divine bodyguards are often even stranger than the demons they fight. He takes one of the red onions and, using the flint knife, he cuts it in half. The sharp, pungent smell fills the air, mixing with the incense. As you follow the distant light of Ra's solar bark, you feel a new presence nearby. But this one is not the cold, predatory presence of the demon. This is a feeling of immense benevolent power. It is warm, solid, and fiercely protective. It feels like a mother shielding her child. Out of the shadows at the edge of Ra's light, a new figure coalesces. It is not coming for you. It is walking beside you, a silent escort on your perilous journey. Your name is filth. Your heart is rotten. Your magic is weak. I spit on your name. May a donkey copulate with you. May a donkey copulate with your wife. The form is one you know well from the carvings on your own bed, from the amulets your wife wears. It is the form of Taweret, the great she-one. She is a goddess who, to an outsider, might look like a monster herself. She has the massive, pregnant belly and body of a hippopotamus, the legs of a lion, and the back and tail of a crocodile. In her hands, she often carries the SA sign, the hieroglyph for protection. This is not vulgar profanity. It is ritualized insult, a common feature of ancient execration texts. The donkey, associated with the chaotic god set, was often invoked in curses. To wish this upon your enemy was to wish the ultimate degradation and chaos upon them. She is the very picture of a divine bodyguard. Her form is not random. It is a powerful statement. She is a composite of the most dangerous, aggressive, and feared animals of the Nile. The hippopotamus waspi, which we might see as a gentle giant, was, for you, one of the deadliest creatures in your world, known for its incredible strength and ferocious territorial aggression, especially when protecting its young. The lion is the ultimate predator of the desert. The crocodile is the silent death that lurks beneath the water's surface. Taweret is a goddess who has co-opted the terror of the natural world and turned it into a protective force. She is a monster who fights monsters on your behalf. Her message is clear. You think you are scary? Look at me. Pentu points the flint knife at the clay figurine. You are the backward-facing one, the one who eats his own vomit. Your father was a serpent and your mother was a scorpion. You are nothing. You are less than the dirt on my sandal. Seeing her here in her native element is a profound comfort. She is the great protector of pregnant women and newborn children. Her image ubiquitous on household items in any home with a family. But her domain extends to the most vulnerable state any human can be in sleep. She is the bouncer at the door of your dreams, and she does not suffer fools gladly. The demon that attacked you fled from the mere invocation of Bez. It would have been utterly annihilated by the full presence of Taweret. He is unmaking the demon with his words, stripping it of its power, its dignity, its very identity. He is using the power of language, of Heka, the Egyptian concept of magic, to redefine reality. You fly beside her, your tiny human-headed Ba dwarfed by her immense, powerful form. She does not speak to you, but you feel her purpose. She is patrolling her territory, this dangerous borderland of sleep, ensuring the souls of the sleeping find their way safely. He then commands you to participate. Take the knife. Neb Hathor, he says. The injury was done to you. You must be the agent of its unmaking. This is your best defense against the soul eaters and night fiends. Not a sword or a shield, but a pregnant hippopotamus goddess with the tail of a crocodile. It's a concept that might seem bizarre to a modern mind, but to you it is the most logical thing in the world. You fight fire with fire. You fight a terrifying demon with an even more terrifying, but benevolent, God. This brings to mind another layer of protection you have back in your bedroom. Tucked away in a chest is a special object, one used only when the children are sick or your wife has had a particularly bad run of nightmares. It is an apotropaic wand, or as it's sometimes called, a magic knife. It's not a weapon in the traditional sense. It is a curved object, carved from a single, polished piece of hippopotamus tusk. This is a very specific and potent detail. The ivory itself is imbued with magical power, taken from one of the great protective animals. The wand is covered in incised drawings. On it are images of your divine bodyguards, Bess, with his tongue out, brandishing a knife, Taweret, standing strong with her symbol of protection, a serpent with a knife, a winged griffin, a frog-headed goddess. It is a procession of the entire supernatural security team. The idea is to create a magical barrier, a protective circle around the bed. A priest might have used it to draw a literal circle in the sand around a sick person's bed, creating a fortress that no demon could cross. It is a piece of practical, everyday magic, the ancient Egyptian equivalent of a high-tech home security system. You are bound, you shout, your voice raw, repeating the words Pentu gives you. You take the knife and you stab the figurine in its chest. You are pierced, you stab it again, in its head. You are defeated, you stab it in its limbs. You cannot move against me. As you fly under Taweret's watchful gaze, you feel safer than you have all night. You are able to observe the duat with more curiosity than fear. You see that for every slithering horror that lurks in the shadows, there is a corresponding agent of divine order. You see jackal-headed gods, servants of Anubis, who are not tormentors, but guides, leading souls through the labyrinthine paths. You see baboons associated with the god Thoth, who are said to screech and attack the serpent Apep as Ra passes. The underworld is not just chaos. It is a war zone between chaos and order, and you have some very powerful allies on your side. Pentu takes the remaining onions and places them around the figurine. These are your guardians, he chants. Their smell will repel you. Their layers are a maze in which your evil thoughts will be lost. The relationship between Bes and Taweret is a close one. They are often depicted together, the divine power couple of domestic protection. While Taweret is the great, powerful mother figure, Bes is the jester, the soldier, and the bouncer. His foreignness is part of his power. Historians still debate the origins of Bes. Was he a native Egyptian god from the start? Or was he, as some evidence suggests, imported from Nubia or other parts of Africa? His bandy-legged appearance and lion-like features are not typical of Egyptian deities, suggesting he might have been an outsider who was so good at his job that he was adopted into the pantheon. For you, this academic debate is irrelevant. You just know that he is a reliable friend in a dark place. He is the god who isn't afraid to get his hands dirty, to make a scary face and brandish a knife to protect your family. The climax of the ritual is at hand. Pentu takes the bowl of desert sand containing the mutilated, onion-guarded figurine. He carries it to the threshold of your house. You realize that your entire sleeping environment is a carefully constructed magical fortress. It starts with the bed itself. The legs of your bed are often carved to look like the legs of a bull or a lion, another way of imbuing a mundane object with the power of a strong, protective animal. Your headrest, the cool crescent of wood, is not just a pillow. It is a magical pedestal, lifting your head, the seat of your soul, off the ground and closer to the gods. And under that headrest, you have your amulets. Hear me. Fiend by the authority of Osiris, Lord of the Underworld, by the power of Horus, the victorious one, and by the sacred name of Ra, whose light you cannot endure, you are banished from this house. This house is sealed against you. Its walls are a fortress of fire, its threshold is a knife's edge. If you attempt to enter here again, you will be unmade. You will be annihilated. You will be utterly destroyed for all eternity. Everyone has amulets. They are the most common form of personal magic. You have your best charm, your wife has one of Taweret, and another of an Ankh, the symbol of life. Your children have smaller, simpler ones tucked into their bedding. These are not just jewelry, they are batteries of divine power, each one a direct line to a specific god. They are your spiritual panic buttons. When your Ba was in peril, you didn't just remember Bes, you connected with the power stored in the very amulet that was physically just inches from your sleeping head. The connection between the physical world and the spiritual plane is real and tangible. With the final word, he steps outside and smashes the clay bowl and the figurine on the ground outside your door. The sound of the shattering pottery is a sharp, definitive crack in the twilight air. It is done. The vessel containing the demon's essence has been destroyed. The legal verdict has been executed. As your journey through the night continues, you feel the tide begin to turn. The light from Ra's boat is definitely growing stronger, warmer. The darkest hours are past. The regions of the Duat you are passing through now seem less menacing, the monsters fewer and less aggressive. You are approaching the final gates. He then instructs you to take the shards and the sand and bury them deep in the earth, far from your home, at a place where no one will ever walk. Taweret. Your silent, powerful escort seems to sense this as well. Her form begins to grow less distinct, fading back into the shadows from which she came. Her duty is done. She has seen you through the most dangerous part of your journey. She has other sleepers to protect, other souls to guide. You send a silent prayer of thanks to her as she disappears. You are on your own again, but you are no longer afraid. You have been reminded of the power that surrounds you, the divine bodyguards who watch over you every night. As you return to the house, the air inside feels different. It is light. It is clean. The oppressive shadow that has lingered for 2 days is completely gone. The space feels calm, peaceful, and profoundly safe. You know that when you wake, the nightmare will still be a vivid memory. It was a genuine attack, a real battle, and you will have to take steps in the waking world to deal with it. You cannot just dismiss it as a bad dream and have a cup of coffee. The attack has consequences, but now you know, with a certainty that settles deep in your soul, that you have the tools to fight back. You have your knowledge, your rituals, and your gods. You have a pregnant hippopotamus, a knife-wielding dwarf, and a host of other strange and wonderful protectors on your side. And with a team like that guarding your back, you can face almost any monster the night can throw at you. You fly onward toward the growing light, your Ba weary but resolute, ready to complete its journey and return to the land of the living. Pentu is packing his ritual tools back into his chest. His face is beaded with sweat, and he looks tired, but his eyes are clear and calm. The light of Ra's solar bark is no longer a distant point. It is a golden, life-giving river flowing through the heart of the Duat. Your weary Basol, a tiny bird of spirit matter, flies steadily in its wake. The 12 hours of the night are almost complete. You have passed through deserts of fire and caverns of shadow. You have seen the monstrous agents of chaos and the divine enforcers of order. You have survived an attack, been escorted by a goddess, and witnessed the cosmic journey of the sun. Now, the homing instinct grows stronger, an undeniable pull towards a specific point in a world you can barely remember. It is finished, he says. The great banishment has been performed. Your house is now under the protection of the highest gods. No entity of that class will trouble you here again. You are being reeled in. The spiritual cord that connects your wandering body to your sleeping cot is tightening. The strange, silent landscapes of the underworld begin to thin, to become transparent. You can almost see through them, to another reality layered just beneath. The majestic boat of Ra sails towards the final gate of the east, the Gate of Dawn, where he will be reborn as Khepri, the scarab beetle, rolling the sun into the sky. Your own journey is ending, too. You're being pulled back to your own personal dawn. You try to thank him, but words feel inadequate. You give him the payment you had agreed upon, a small bag of silver rings. A significant sum for you, but a pittance for the peace of mind he has given you. He accepts it with a simple nod. The transition is not gentle. It is a sudden, violent rush. One moment you are a disembodied soul flying through a mystical realm. The next you are slammed back into the confines of flesh and bone. There is a gasp, a jolt. Your eyes fly open. He gives you one final piece of advice. The Duat is still a dangerous place. Your nightly journey will always have its risks. But your fortress is now strong. Sleep without fear, Neb Hathor. You have earned it. You are staring up into darkness. Not the absolute metaphysical darkness of the Duat, but the familiar, comforting darkness of your own bedroom. The air is not the sterile non-air of the spirit world. It is thick with the smells of home. The faint scent of the oil lamp, which has nearly burned itself out. The smell of linen, of straw, of the cool night air coming through the high window slit. You can hear your wife's soft, steady breathing from the bed beside you. You can feel the rough weave of the linen sheet against your skin, the impossible weight of your own limbs. You are back. You are home. He leaves, a silent, leopard-skinned figure disappearing into the growing darkness. You stand in your clean, quiet, magically sealed home. You feel a sense of peace so deep and complete that it is almost overwhelming. The nightmare is finally, truly over. You have faced the monster. You have endured its sickness, and you have overseen its legal and magical destruction. Tonight, when you lie down on your bed and your ba flies forth, it will do so from a fortress whose walls are unbreachable. A wave of profound relief washes over you, so intense it almost feels like pain. You survived. Your ba has returned. You lie perfectly still, reacquainting yourself with the simple, miraculous fact of your own physical existence. You wiggle your toes. You clench your fist. You are solid. You are real. That night, for the first time since the attack, you sleep. It is a deep, dreamless, and profoundly peaceful sleep. The kind of restorative rest you had forgotten was possible. Your ba does not wander the terrifying landscapes of the Duat. It remains at rest, secure within the newly fortified walls of your home and your soul. When you wake to the morning light, you feel not the weary dread of the past few days, but a simple, clean sense of peace. The great banishment has held. Your home is your fortress once again, but the nightmare clings to you like a shroud. The memory of the demon's cold grip, the terror of being lost in the dark, the whispers of despair, it is not fading like a normal dream. It is a vivid, detailed memory, a scar left on your soul. It was not a dream, it was a battle. And now that you are awake, you realize you are lying in the very fortress that saved you. The magic that protected your soul is all around you, Solid and real? Your bedroom is not just a place to sleep, it is an armory. Life returns to its familiar rhythm. You go back to your work as a scribe, your days filled with the mundane and practical details of other people's lives, drafting marriage contracts, recording inventories of livestock, writing letters for merchants. The memory of the nightmare is still there, a scar on your soul, but it no longer has the power to terrorize you. It has become a lesson, a reminder of the eternal battle between order and chaos, and of your small but vital role within it. You find yourself touching the Bez amulet around your neck from time to time, a silent acknowledgement of the forces that watch over you. Your head is resting on the cool, curved surface of your wooden headrest. You reach up and touch it. In the dim light, you can just make out the familiar shapes carved into its base. This isn't just a piece of furniture, it's a magical artifact. The central pillar that supports the crescent is carved into the shape of the god Bez. His grotesque, protective face turned outwards into the room. On either side of him are the tit symbols, the knot of Isis, powerful emblems of protection associated with the Great Mother Goddess. This object you rest your head on every night is a prayer made solid, a pedestal designed to elevate your consciousness and guard it while it is at its most vulnerable. The ancient artists and craftsmen who made this were not just carpenters. They were magical engineers. Several weeks pass. The story of your ordeal, your subsequent sickness, and the successful banishment performed by the lector priest Pentu becomes a quiet rumor in the scribal community and the temple precincts. You are looked upon with a new respect. You are not just a skilled scribe. You are a man who has faced a fiend of the drought and emerged victorious. You have first-hand knowledge of the darkness. You slowly sit up, your body aching with a weariness that sleep has not cured, but deepened. You look at the bed itself. It is a simple wooden frame, but its legs are carved in the shape of a lion's paws. Not for decoration. You are sleeping on the back of a lion, one of the great protective beasts. You are surrounded by the power of the animal kingdom, tamed and put to your service. One evening, as you are packing away your papyrus scrolls, a man arrives at your door. He is not one of your usual clients. He is dressed in the immaculate white linen of a high-ranking official, and his bearing is one of quiet, absolute authority. He is a herald from the royal palace. Your heart freezes. A summons from the palace can mean only one of two things: a great honor or a terrible punishment. There is rarely anything in between, and then you remember a detail about a bed you once saw in the workshop of a wealthy official. This is a rare and little-known secret, a level of magical protection for the elite. The underside of that bed's frame was covered in carved images of demons, bound and pierced with knives. The bed itself was a magical trap. The idea was that any malevolent spirit trying to crawl under the bed, the classic monster under the bed, would be ensnared and neutralized by the protective magic carved into the very object it was trying to haunt. It's a brilliant piece of magical design, turning the monster's own hiding place into its prison. Your own bed is not so elaborate, but the principle is the same. It is a sacred, protected space in a dangerous world. You are Neb Hathor, the scribe, the man asks, his voice polite but devoid of warmth. Your hand goes to the small table beside your bed. Your fingers find the cool, smooth surface of the Bez amulet you had envisioned in the Duat. You pick it up. It is a small, cheap piece of blue-green faience, but holding it now, it feels as potent as a king's scepter. This tiny object was your lifeline. It was the focus of your will, the conduit for the power that drove the demon away. I am. You reply, your own voice barely a whisper. This is the very heart of your magical practice. It is not about grand ceremonies and temples. It is about the intimate, tangible connection between the physical and the spiritual. The monster that attacked your ba was real, but so was the spell carved into the base of your headrest. The demon was a genuine threat, but the hippopotamus ivory in your magic wand is a genuine defense. You believe in a world where a nightmare can kill you, but you also believe in a world where a small clay charm can save your life. His Majesty the King, the Lord of the Two Lands, Son of Ra, has need of your skills. You will come with me. It is not a request. This raises a question that your own priests might ponder, and that modern Egyptologists still debate. What is the precise nature of the magic in these objects? And when you hold your Bez amulet, Are you holding a piece of the god himself? Does a tiny spark of his divine essence reside within the faience, or is the object merely a symbol, a focus point that helps you direct your prayer and attract the god's attention from afar? Is it a battery of power, or is it just a telephone to the gods? The texts are not entirely clear. For you, the distinction is academic. You don't care if the amulet is Bez or if it just calls Bez. You only care that when you needed him. He answered, "It works." That is all that matters. You are led through the twilight streets of Thebes, not towards the temple complex, but towards the sprawling, walled enclosure of the royal palace. As you walk, your mind races. What could the pharaoh possibly want with a humble scribe like you? Have you made an error in a tax record? Has one of your letters been misconstrued? The possibilities for ruin are endless. You know you cannot simply go about your day. The nightmare was an intrusion, a violation. It has left a spiritual stain, a residue of chaos in your home and on your soul. You must cleanse it. Your first thought is of the Book of Dreams. You pass through gates guarded by elite soldiers, the Medjay, their faces impassive, their weapons gleaming in the torchlight. The palace is a city within a city, a labyrinth of grand halls, serene courtyards, and secluded gardens. The air here is different. It is heavy with power, with the scent of expensive cedarwood, exotic incense, and the immense, crushing weight of divine responsibility. This is not a single famous book like the Book of the Dead. Rather, it refers to a genre of texts, dream manuals that have been compiled by priests over centuries. You have access to a copy, a papyrus scroll kept at the local temple. These are not dream interpretation guides in our modern psychological sense. They are not about what your dreams say about your relationship with your mother. They are diagnostic manuals. You are not taken to the grand throne room. You are led down quiet, torch-lit corridors to a private, secluded wing of the palace. Here, the atmosphere is even more hushed, more tense. You are brought before a man you recognize instantly. It is the vizier, the highest official in the land, the right hand of the pharaoh himself. He is an old, powerful man, his face etched with the worries of running an empire. The dream book is a long list of dreams, divided into 2 columns, good and bad. Each entry follows a simple formula. If a man sees himself in a dream doing a certain thing, this is good bad. It means that a certain event will happen. Some of the interpretations are straightforward. If a man sees himself in a dream looking at his own face in a mirror, this is bad. It means he will take another wife. Some are more symbolic. If a man sees himself in a dream drinking warm beer, this is bad. It means he will suffer. And some are just plain strange. If a man sees himself in a dream eating the flesh of a donkey, this is good. It means he will be promoted. "Scribe," the vizier says, his voice low and urgent. "You have been summoned because you have knowledge of the dark things of the night. The priest Pentu speaks highly of your resilience and your understanding. We have need of that understanding now. Your nightmare was not a symbolic premonition. It was a direct attack. But you will still need to consult the text, or perhaps a priest who specializes in these matters. A lector priest. You need to identify the specific class of demon that attacked you. Was it a shamao sent because of some ritual impurity? Was it a mutt? The ghost of someone you have wronged. Identifying the attacker is the first step in prescribing the cure. The cure will involve specific rituals, specific offerings, and specific incantations designed to banish that particular entity. You might need to make a special offering to Bess or Toferet, a thank you for their protection. You might need to recite a spell of banishment, essentially a divine restraining order against the demon, forbidding it from ever entering your house again. He pauses, and the silence in the room is deafening. "The Horus King," he says, using one of the pharaoh's most sacred titles, "is not at peace. His sleep is troubled. You swing your legs off the bed, the packed earth floor cool under your feet. The first rays of the true physical sun are now slanting through the window slit, cutting a golden line across the dusty air. Outside, the city of Thebes is coming to life. You can hear the sounds of your neighbors waking, the distant clang of a blacksmith's hammer, the braying of a donkey. Ra has been victorious. He has defeated Apep and risen in the east. The world is safe for another day." The words hang in the air, thick with unspoken terror. This is not a personal problem. This is a national crisis of the highest order. The pharaoh is not just a king. He is a living god, the incarnation of Horus on earth, the sole intermediary between the human world and the divine. His physical and spiritual well-being are directly linked to the stability and prosperity of the entire nation. The concept of Ma'at, the divine principle of order, truth, and justice, flows from the gods, through the pharaoh, and into the world. If the pharaoh's connection to the gods is disturbed, if his soul is not at peace, then Ma'at itself is threatened. A troubled royal sleep could be a precursor to famine, to plague, to foreign invasion. The pharaoh's nightmare is the kingdom's nightmare. You look at your wife, still sleeping peacefully. You look towards the room where your children are. The nightmare was your battle, but it was a battle for them, too. Your role as a husband and a father is not just to provide food and shelter. It is to be the magical guardian of your household, to stand watch on the spiritual frontier of sleep and fight the monsters that try to cross it. For 3 nights, the vizier continues, the son of Ra has been plagued by ascending. He wakes in a sweat, his heart pounding. Speaking of a shadowy serpent that whispers of chaos and the end of all things, the fear from the night is still a cold knot in your stomach, but it is now overlaid with a sense of purpose. You have work to do. You must wash yourself, purify your body and your home. You must prepare the right offerings. You must consult the right powers. When the monster was real, but so is your magic. You survived the night. Now, in the light of the new day, you will make sure you are ready for the next one. A shadowy serpent. Apep, the great enemy of Ra. The thought sends a chill down your spine. The demon that attacked you was a mere foot soldier, a soul eater. The pharaoh is being targeted by the general of the armies of darkness himself. The golden light of the new day does not burn away the residue of the night. It only illuminates the task ahead. You rise from your bed, every muscle aching with a weariness that is more spiritual than physical. The battle in the drought was real, and though you're caught, your physical body lay still. Your soul is bruised and battered. You cannot simply wash your face, eat your morning meal of bread and figs, and go to work. The nightmare has contaminated your world, and it must be dealt with. The lector priests have performed the daily purification rituals. The vizier says, a note of frustration in his voice. The offerings have been doubled. The temple chants have not ceased, and still the serpent comes. There must be a flaw in the protections, a crack in the divine wall. Your task is to find it. Your first act is one of purification. You go to the small courtyard at the back of your house where a large pottery jar holds water drawn from the Nile. You strip off your linen sleeping garment. The morning air is cool on your skin. You take a dipper and pour the water over your head, washing away the sweat of a fearful night. This is not just about cleanliness. It is a ritual. Water, for your people, is a symbol of life and purity. As it runs over your body, you murmur a short prayer to Osiris, lord of the underworld, and to Ra Harakti, the god of the rising sun, asking them to cleanse you of any lingering malevolence, any spiritual grime left behind by the demon. Your task? You, a humble scribe, are being asked to find a magical flaw in the most heavily fortified spiritual location in the entire world, the pharaoh's bedroom. Your wife is awake now. She looks at you, her eyes filled with concern. She saw the way you tossed in your sleep, heard the muffled groans. She does not need to ask if you slept well. She knows. She hands you a clean linen kilt, the simple garment of your daily life. As you wrap it around your waist, she places a hand on your arm. It was a strong sending, she says, her voice low. A sending is what you call it, a nightmare sent by a demon, a ghost, or a displeased god. You are led by the vizier and a high priest down another corridor, this one guarded by 4 priests who stand like statues, their faces grim. They stand before a massive cedarwood door, inlaid with gold and lapis lazuli. This is the entrance to the pharaoh's sleeping chamber. The door itself is a massive hieroglyph, covered in inscriptions of protection. The protection's held, you reply, touching the Bez amulet that now hangs on a cord around your neck. But it was a close thing. The high priest murmurs a short incantation and the door is opened. You step inside. The room is not large. but it is a treasure chest of magical power. The air hums with it. This is not a bedroom. It is a magical fortress, a divine machine designed for one purpose: to protect the soul of a god king while he sleeps. There is a silent understanding between you. This is a shared danger, a reality of your life together. Her work today will also be one of purification. She will meticulously clean the house, sweeping the floors and perhaps burning a small amount of incense, a blend of frankincense and myrrh, to fumigate the space and drive out any lingering evil influences. It is a team effort. You fight the battles in the spirit world. She maintains the fortress in the physical one. In the center of the room is the royal bed. It is a masterpiece of craftsmanship, its frame gilded, its legs carved into the powerful forms of lions. But it is the headrest that takes your breath away. It is made not of wood, but of solid, brilliant blue lapis lazuli, a stone believed to have celestial protective properties. This is a well-known feature of royal burials, like the one found in Tutankhamun's tomb. But it was a reality for the living king as well. Your hand trembles as you take the flint knife. You look at the ugly clay figure, and you pour all the terror and helplessness you felt in your nightmare into a single cold point of rage. The walls of the room are covered from floor to ceiling in painted hieroglyphs. They are not decorative. You recognize the texts instantly. These are passages from the great funerary books, the Amduat, the Book of Gates, and you notice with a jolt, the Book of the Heavenly Cow. This is a particularly powerful mythological text, an obscure detail of royal theology. It tells the story of how humanity once rebelled against the aging sun, God Ra, and how he, with the help of other gods, punished them and established the current order of the world, creating the Duat and the forces of darkness. To inscribe this text within the bedroom is to create a permanent, powerful statement of divine order and the subjugation of chaos. It is the ultimate no trespassing sign, aimed at the forces of evil, after a small meal which you force yourself to eat to regain your strength. You know what you must do. This was not a simple, fleeting bad dream. This was a direct, sustained assault. The memory is too clear, the fear too potent. You cannot handle this alone with household magic. You need a professional. You need to consult the Book of Dreams. Your task is to examine these texts, all of them. You are given a small lamp and a stool. The vizier and the high priest watch you, their faces tense. The pressure is immense. You are a proofreader, and the fate of the nation may rest on your ability to spot a typo. You leave your house and step out into the bustling streets of Thebes. The contrast is dizzying. Here, under the brilliant, benevolent gaze of Ra, life is loud, vibrant, and overwhelmingly physical. You are jostled by a group of laborers on their way to a construction site, their bodies muscular and glistening with sweat. A merchant shouts the prices of his melons, his voice a part of the city's constant, chaotic symphony. The smell of baking bread from a communal oven mixes with the less pleasant smell of the donkey droppings on the street. Children, your own son among them, chase each other through the narrow alleyways, their laughter echoing off the mud brick walls. You begin your work. You are methodical, your years of training taking over. You start with the inscriptions on the bed frame itself. The hieroglyphs are perfectly formed, the work of a master craftsman. You read the spells, ancient and powerful incantations for protection against serpents and scorpions. You find no flaw. This is the world you fought for last night. This beautiful, messy, vibrant reality. The thought strengthens your resolve. You walk with purpose, your sandals slapping against the packed earth of the street. Your destination is the great temple complex of Karnak, a city of gods within your own city. But you are not going to the grand public courts to worship. You are headed to a more secluded, more mysterious part of the temple precinct. You are going to the Per Ankh, the House of Life. You move to the walls. You begin to read the Book of the Heavenly Cow, your finger tracing the elegant lines of the painted glyphs. The story is familiar to you, but reading it here in this sacred space gives the words a terrifying imminence. You are not just reading a story, you are auditing a magical shield. The House of Life is the intellectual and spiritual engine of the kingdom. It is the university, the library, the scriptorium, the medical school, and the magical academy, all rolled into one. Here, the lector priests and scribes, the most educated men in Egypt, copy the sacred texts, study the movements of the stars, mix medical remedies, and compile the very knowledge that holds the universe together. It is here that the guidebooks to the afterlife are written, and it is here that the secrets of dreams are kept. Hours pass. The palace is silent around you. The only sound is your own soft breathing and the faint crackle of the lamp. You examine every sign, every word. The grammar must be perfect. The spelling must be exact. In the world of Heka magic, the written word is not a symbol of a thing. It is the thing. A misspelled name of a god is an invocation to a void. A misshapen hieroglyph can break the flow of power in a spell, creating a tiny crack in the armor. You are a scribe, so you have a certain right of entry. You pass through the outer gates of the temple, your head bowed in respect. You navigate the labyrinth of courtyards and corridors until you reach a quieter, more scholarly section of the complex. The air here is different. It smells of old papyrus, of ink, and of the quiet, focused energy of immense knowledge. This is a point of some debate among modern scholars. How literally did the Egyptians take this? Was a small scribal error truly believed to be a catastrophic magical failure? Or was the intent of the spell what mattered most? But for you, sitting in this room with the fate of your king in your hands, there is no debate. Perfection is the only acceptable standard. You find the man you are looking for in a small, sun-drenched courtyard, sitting at a low wooden desk. He is an old man named Pentu, a lector priest of the highest rank. His head is shaved, as is the custom for priests, and his face is a web of fine lines, each one earned through a lifetime of study and contemplation. He is a master of rituals, a keeper of the sacred words. He is also known as a master interpreter of dreams. You are halfway through a column of text from the Book of Gates, a description of the guardians of the 8th hour of the night. You are reading a list of their secret names, the very names Ra must speak to pass, and then you see it. He looks up as you approach, his eyes sharp and intelligent. Neb Hathor, he says, his voice dry and rustling like old papyrus. You carry the shadow of the drought with you this morning. He can see it on you. The spiritual residue of your nightmare is as plain to him as the dust on your sandals. Your heart stops. It is a tiny thing, something that 99 out of 100 scribes would miss. It is the sign for a horned viper, the hieroglyph for the sound F. But the artist, in a moment of carelessness, has drawn it with one too many curves in its body. It is not a perfect horned viper. It is a clumsy, slightly incorrect version. And it is part of the secret name of a guardian god. I do, venerable one. You reply, bowing your head. I was attacked in my sleep. A powerful fiend. I seek your wisdom. The flaw, the crack in the wall. He gestures to a low stool opposite his desk. Describe the sending. The name is incorrect. The spell is broken. The guardian of the 8th gate is, in this inscription, powerless. It has created a loophole, a magical backdoor through which a powerful entity like Apep could whisper his poison into the king's dreams. You sit, and you tell him everything. You describe the cold fog, the shifting shape of the demon, its whispers of despair. You describe the feeling of your Bia being trapped, the draining of your life force. You describe the vision of the lake of fire and how you called upon Best to save you. You stare at the flawed hieroglyph, a cold sweat breaking out on your brow. It is so small, so insignificant, and yet it is everything. Pentu listens without interruption, his eyes closed, his long fingers steepled before him. He is not listening like a friend, offering sympathy. He is listening like a physician, noting symptoms, looking for a pattern. Your nightmare is a set of clues, and he is the detective. You turn to the vizier, your mouth dry. Venerable one, you say, your voice trembling slightly. I have found it. When you have finished, he is silent for a long moment. Then he nods slowly. The attacker was of the Night Terror class, a fiend of the 7th hour. He says with quiet authority. They are known for inducing despair and severing the soul's connection to its memories. You did well to invoke the name of the protector. Many do not have the presence of mind. You point to the flawed glyph. The high priest steps forward, his own eyes widening as he sees the error. A low curse escapes his lips. He understands immediately. He rises slowly and walks to a tall wooden cabinet. From it, he carefully removes a long, rolled-up papyrus scroll tied with a leather cord. He handles it with the reverence of a man holding a living thing. This is a copy of a dream manual, a diagnostic tool compiled over generations. The carelessness of a painter, the vizier whispers, his voice filled with fury and relief. The fate of the two lands balanced on the curve of a painted snake. He unrolls it carefully on his desk. You see the columns of neat, black hieratic script, the cursive form of hieroglyphs used for everyday writing. The scroll is old, the edges frayed, the papyrus the color of honey. It is divided into sections: dreams of eating, dreams of traveling, dreams of animals, dreams of the gods. There is no celebration. There is only a grim, focused sense of purpose. A master painter scribe is immediately summoned from the house of life, roused from his own bed. Under your and the high priest's direct supervision, the flawed section of plaster is carefully scraped away. The correct hieroglyph is meticulously repainted. The spell is restored. The crack in the fortress wall is sealed. Let us see. Pentu murmurs, his finger tracing the lines of script. He is cross-referencing the details of your story with the entries in the manual. You saw a serpent with legs. Your work is done. You have played your part. You have used your humble skill, your eye for detail, to defend the sleep of a god and the stability of a nation. Yes, venerable one. For a moment, as you are escorted out of the palace, back into the cool night air, you look up at the stars. They are the same stars that shine over your own small house. You think about the rituals you performed, the onion and the clay figurine, the simple household magic that restored peace to your home. And you think of the grand, cosmic magic of the palace, the gilded texts and the leopard skin-clad priests. Here, he says, tapping a section. If a man sees himself in a dream threatened by a serpent with legs, this is bad. It means a dispute will rise up against him. He looks at you. Have you had a dispute with a neighbor? A disagreement over a property line? You realize that they are the same. The scale is different, the materials are finer, but the principle is identical. Whether you are a humble scribe or a divine king, you face the same darkness when you close your eyes. And you fight it with the same weapons, with knowledge, with ritual, and with the unwavering belief that order can, and must, triumph over chaos. You have guarded the pharaoh's sleep, and in doing so, you have helped to ensure that the sun will rise once again, for everyone. No, venerable one, nothing of the sort. You walk back through the now quiet streets of Thebes under a canopy of brilliant, indifferent stars. The city is asleep, but you know now, with a certainty that has settled deep in your bones, that sleep is not a quiet state. It is a battlefield. And tonight, a great battle was won, not with swords and shields, but with a painter's brush and the keen eye of a scribe. Pentu nods. Then the serpent was merely the form the fiend chose to terrify you. We look deeper. He continues to scan the scroll. You felt a cold grip. The weight of the responsibility you just carried is immense, and yet you feel lighter than you have in weeks. The fear that has haunted you, the personal terror of the Soul Eater, has been contextualized. It was a skirmish in a war that is fought every night, on every level of existence, from the reed palette in your humble home to the gilded lapis lazuli headrest of the living god. The forces of Isfet, of chaos, are relentless. They seek out any crack, any weakness, any misspelled name in the great wall of order that protects the world. And you, in your own small way, have helped to seal that wall. Yes, as if my soul were being frozen. When you finally reach your own home, you pause at the door. You look at the protective eyes of Horus you painted on the frame. They no longer look like crude drawings made in fear. They look powerful, vigilant. You touch the doorpost, and you can almost feel the hum of the magic, the quiet strength of the rituals you and your wife and the priest performed. Your home is a fortress. The palace is a fortress. The entire land of Egypt is a fortress, and all of you are its soldiers. And whispers of despair. You slip inside, quiet as a shadow, and lie down on your bed. Your wife stirs, her hand finding yours in the darkness. She asks no questions. She can feel the peace that radiates from you. The war is over. Yes, it told me I was forgotten. When your ba flies forth tonight, it is not a journey of fear. It is a journey of quiet confidence. You see the duat, but it holds no terror for you. You see the distant, glorious light of Ra's solar bark on its eternal journey. And you feel not like a frightened refugee, but like a loyal subject watching his king pass by. You see the shadowy forms of demons flitting at the edges of the light, but they seem small and pathetic now, their power broken by the unified strength of order. Of Mayat. Your soul is at peace. Pentu's finger stops on another entry. If a man sees himself in a dream lost in a thick fog, and a voice tells him he is abandoned, this is bad. It means a spirit of the dead, amulet, is attempting to steal his place in the world of the living. He falls silent, contemplating this. The next morning, the sun rises, but you see it differently now. It is not just a celestial body, it is a victory banner. As the first golden rays strike the cliffs of the western bank, you know that Ra has successfully navigated the 12 hours of the night. He has defeated Apep once again. The serpent of chaos has been vanquished, and the world has been granted another day of life and light. This is the art of dream interpretation. It is not a simple one-to-one lookup. The priest must weigh the different elements of the dream, understand the context of the dreamer's life, and use his own wisdom and experience to arrive at a correct diagnosis. This is a point of subtle disagreement even among the priests, a topic of scholarly debate within the walls of the House of Life. Is the dream book an infallible, divinely inspired text where every entry is literal truth, or is it a guide? A collection of case studies that the skilled interpreter must use as a starting point for a more nuanced diagnosis. Pentu is of the latter school. He believes the text provides the vocabulary, but the priest must construct the sentence. And you know that in the royal palace, the Horus king has also woken from a peaceful, dreamless sleep. The flaw in his divine armor has been mended, his ba is secure, and because his soul is at peace, the nation is at peace. The cosmic balance has been restored. The crops will grow. The Nile will flood its banks at the proper time. The enemies of Egypt will be confounded. All is well. All is in its proper place. It was not a mutt, Pentu declares finally. The despair it offered was not the lonely sorrow of the abandoned dead. It was the active, malevolent chaos of a true demon. The fog and the voice were simply tools from its arsenal of fear. The serpent form was a mask. The core of the attack, the draining of your life force, points to a soul eater, a minion of Apep. Your life as a scribe continues. You still record grain inventories and write letters for foolish merchants who have gotten into disputes with their neighbors. But your work is imbued with a new sense of purpose. You understand that your meticulous attention to detail, the perfect formation of each hieroglyph, is not just a craft, it is a sacred duty. Every correctly written word is a small prayer, a small reinforcement of Mayat. Every flawless document is another brick in the Great Wall against chaos. He has made his diagnosis a soul eater. The name itself is a horror. You feel a chill, even in the warm morning sun. You never speak of what happened in the Pharaoh's chamber. It is a secret you will carry to your tomb. But sometimes, you see the vizier in a public procession, and his eyes will meet yours for a fleeting moment, a silent acknowledgement of the secret you share. You are a man who has seen the crack in the universe and helped to seal it. What must I do, you ask, your voice barely a whisper. Your own nights are peaceful now. The nightmares do not return. You have faced the worst the darkness could throw at you, and you have learned its ways. You have learned that the greatest weapons against fear are not strength or anger, but knowledge, ritual, and the quiet, steady love of family. You have learned that the protection of a great god can be found in a humble clay amulet, and that the fate of a kingdom can hang on the shape of a single painted line. The creature has failed, Pentu says, but its touch has left a stain. It has weakened the protective wards of your spirit. It will be easier for it, or others like it, to attack again. You must purify yourself and your home, and you must make a specific offering of appeasement and thanks. You lie down each night not with anxiety, but with a calm sense of preparedness. You know that sleep is a journey, a temporary death that allows your soul to touch the divine. You know that the drought is real, and that its monsters are always waiting, but you also know that you are never truly alone. Your divine bodyguards are always on patrol. Bess and Taweret watch over your home. The great gods of the state watch over your king. And Rai, in his golden boat, sails eternally through the darkness. A constant promise that no matter how long or terrifying the night may be, the dawn will always come. He then gives you a precise set of instructions. It is your prescription. He tells you to obtain a specific type of white clay from the riverbank. You are to mix this clay with water infused with natron, the sacred salt used in mummification and purification rituals. You must then use this clay paste to draw protective symbols: the Eye of Horus, the Ankh, the SA sign on the doorposts and window frames of your house. The sun sets on Thebes. The sky turns to purple and gold. You watch from your doorway as the world prepares for sleep. You are not afraid. You are a scribe of Egypt. You are a keeper of the words, a guardian of order, and you are ready for the night. He also tells you to prepare an offering: a loaf of the finest white bread, a jar of good beer, and a small bunch of onions. You are to take this offering not to the main temple, but to a small local shrine dedicated to Bez and Taweret. You are to lay the offering before them and recite a specific prayer of thanks, a prayer which Pentu begins to copy onto a fresh sheet of papyrus for you. The world of ancient Egypt, with its gods and its demons, begins to soften now. The sharp edges of the hieroglyphs blur, the vibrant colors of the tomb paintings fade into a gentle, monochrome gray. The scent of lotus and myrrh dissolves into the simple, familiar air of your own room. The weight of your own body, a comforting, solid presence, replaces the feeling of your fluttering ba. The cool, hard surface of the lapis lazuli headrest becomes the soft pillow beneath your own head. As he writes, you feel a profound sense of relief. The fear is still there, but it is no longer a shapeless, overwhelming terror. It has been identified, named, and understood. And now, you have a clear, practical plan of action. You have a prescription from a spiritual doctor. The nightmare was an assault from a world of chaos, but the response is one of order, knowledge, and ritual, the very essence of Mot. The grand, cosmic struggle between Ra and Apep fades into the gentle, rhythmic hum of a fan, or the distant, muffled sounds of your own modern world settling into its own kind of quiet. The journey through the 12 hours of the drought is over, and you are left only with the gentle, easy journey into your own peaceful sleep. The fears and anxieties of that ancient world have been put to rest, their stories told, their rituals complete, and now there is nothing left to do but to let go, to drift on that slow, quiet river that leads to your own deep and restorative rest. Safe in the knowledge that your own fortress is secure, your own guardians are watching, and your own sun will rise in the morning. Pentu finishes writing. He rolls up the small piece of papyrus and hands it to you. It contains the words you must speak, the powerful ancient sounds that will confirm your victory and strengthen your defenses.